Thank you very much indeed. The British government is very conscious of the extent to which our open economy now depends upon closer coordination on a global scale. The previous British government played an active role in moving the balance of global economic coordination to an extent from the G8 framework to the now lively G20 framework, because we and others recognize that we do need to co-opt China, India, Brazil and others into sharing the process of managing a global economy in which the rise of Asia in particular, but also the rise of Brazil, is a very important factor. We therefore actively support the G20 process, the framework for strong, sustainable and balanced growth, and we see that as a necessary part of the way forward. For the UK, as we went into this crisis, we were conscious of how far the banking sector is now integrated. Spanish banks playing a large role in the British economy, the failure of Icelandic banks deeply affecting British savers, problems therefore which we cannot resolve on our own. Just as for us now looking at the recovery of our own economy, the recent news that the German economy looks to be recovering more rapidly than was thought 3 months ago, is excellent news for what is now our largest market. So we have to work together. When we talk about a sustainable economy, we are also, as a government, committed to reducing our energy intensity and our energy dependence. And this, again, we hope is now a common goal for all European economies. After all, the energy dependence of Europe on others is one of the sources of our current global imbalance. So promoting the use of renewable energy does in itself contribute to reducing those global imbalances. We all recognize that we have domestic measures to take, and in many ways different domestic measures in different countries, although many of you will have noticed the extent to which now we look at each other's pensionable ages as part of the argument we're making as to who is responsible for what sort of imbalances within the European Union. The British, like others, are now raising our age at which you qualify for pensions, recognizing that one of the great successes of the last half-century in Europe has been the success of the European welfare state, the success of European health provision, but the downside of that is that people do now live a great deal longer, and the cost of the European welfare state is therefore something we have to look at more heavily. I remind you all that the average life expectancy in Europe is now higher than that of the United States, and that is partly because we do have a better system of health provision and welfare, but it does have consequences for the public finances. So domestic measures need to be taken, different domestic measures in different countries. We are, of course, concerned also with the European neighborhood, not just the countries of southeastern Europe, but those between the European Union and Russia, where we recognize that economic stability is the precursor, the necessary basis for political stability. And we are concerned about the weak states of Africa. The new British government in its coalition agreement agreed to maintain our commitment that we will, within the next 3 years, hit our Millennium Development Goal target of providing 0.7% of GDP for international aid, a commitment which the previous British government had given. I encourage all others to maintain their commitment, not easy to do when all of us, including my own government, are having to look at every single item of government expenditure and to carry through some painful cuts. But we did make the commitment to the Millennium Development Goals. We all recognize that the security and stability of Africa is a matter of direct importance to us. States that collapse send surges of refugees north across the Mediterranean, so that is something to which we need to maintain. The IMF, the World Bank, and G20 thus provide a broader framework within which the European Union now has to work. The United Kingdom is not a member of the Eurozone, but what happens within the Eurozone, what happens within the EU as a whole, is of direct importance to us, and we are committed, therefore, to closer European cooperation. Our objectives are to secure a broad, balanced recovery and to manage the transition to a stronger, sustainable, and more balanced path, while recognizing that every country has to do rather different things in their respective economies to achieve this. Fiscal consolidation, the boosting of domestic demand, training for the unemployed youth that we all have as a domestic problem, and to raise productivity. We are working hard at this in Britain. We share our interests and our concerns with our partners, and we hope that we will be successful in raising the rate of economic growth across Europe to promote a more balanced global economy. Thank you.